I'm resident of Collinwood for YouTube, Joel Sands. That's my buddy Patrick McCray. That's my buddy Alan Gallant. We're here to review the movie North Sea Hijack, also referred to as what's it called?
Ffolkes.
Folks.
Yeah, Folks.
They only say his name about 89 times in the movie. Yeah, and in America at least, it was released under the title Ffolkes.
Yes.
Yeah. No, it's not. I'll say this: they say that his name less than they say in this movie than they do the movie Shane.
Wow.
Well,
Folks come back.
Yeah, definitely. They needed that scene in this movie too. Not quite. I like the scene most where he's climbing up on the on the boat and stuff, and the girl saves his life. He goes, "Hey boy," and she's like, "No, I'm a girl. I'm gonna call you boy." I'm like, that's hilarious to me, because he was
racist.
Yeah,
he was racist and had terrible vision. It was a really unpleasant moment in filmmaking.
Yes, well,
it's funny.
Boy,
it's funny.
It is funny
because he's an institutionalized misogynist, and
yes,
he is.
He's totally a misogynist because
he grew up in drag.
He grew up in drag, wearing his five sisters' hand-me-downs. That's right.
That's right.
That's one of the comedic scenes that needs to be inserted.
It's very strange. I mean, it was comedic at the time, but now it just reads as weird in terms of I don't know what the authorial intent kind of was. I guess it was funny.
Yeah,
but it's
I think
just kind of sad and off-putting now.
Yes,
and we've met a Roger Moore character that has more cats than Patrick McCray does.
It's true.
I only have two.
It's right. Folks has at least 7 or 8.
Yeah, he's got a bunch.
He's got like a dozen or something. Feed my cats. That's his last message to his assistant.
He's not playing James Bond here, but he's sort of playing a Bond-esque character. Would you guys say or no?
No, I think he's playing like an anti-Bond.
Yeah.
They take so many of the Bond tropes and just invert them.
Destroy them. So he is commenting on the Bond character, I think.
Yes.
He's not playing the Bond character.
Yeah. He does a really good job of analyzing the whole bomb situation. He goes, well, if we touch it, it'll go off. Don't you think they set it for that? Like, he applies common sense logic to the mission, which makes sense.
Yes, but more important than his knowledgeability is his intractable disdain for everyone around him. I mean, that's he uses his knowledgeability that way, sort of weaponized against all the other inferior intellects around him, or the way he feels about it anyway, for the most part.
Yeah, he doesn't like anybody. He's an equal opportunity. I hate everybody.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Which is really interesting.
And he really detests authority, as we find out with his first meeting with James Mason and so on. He's not very keen on that.
No, he's not. The terrorists are the same way in a sense too, but they're more brutal. They're a lot more brutal about it. Anthony Perkins plays your head heel here.
Yes.
What did you guys think of Anthony Perkins being the terrorist heel here?
Who would imagine him as a bad guy? I mean, that's the.
It's true, except for a few psychopaths.
Anyone who'd ever seen an Anthony Perkins movie. I mean, he's not making a sequel to Follow Me, Boys.
No.
Although I suspect he said that on a number of occasions. He handed over to Stephen Sondheim's for a New Year's party. I've heard. Did you ever hear the frying pan story? It's quite something. The frying pan story.
No, but it sounds.
It's hard.
Really
I can't.
Bizarrely obscene. Yes, it does.
It's really. It's terrifying. It really is. But that's not really about Anthony Perkins, although I suspect he was there.
Yes.
Come on over to the lodge tonight has a decidedly different meaning.
Yes.
Lodge cast iron. Anthony. Well, he's fine. He's actually kind of very relaxed. He's a very relaxed terrorist in this in this show.
It is. There's an interesting relationship between him and Shulman, the Michael Parks character.
I assume they're a couple.
I thought so too. It was very homoerotic, especially at the beginning. Not so much as it travels through but the whole thing and the giggling and he touches him at one point. Yeah, he touches him. Like, oh, that sort of thing. So yeah, they do seem to have a boyfriend relationship going on some level, but they're co-sadists too. So they have a reason to be together. They're totally both. Michael Parks' character loves to watch Anthony Perkins abuse people. It just gets off.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's an interesting layering. I'm wondering if the actors decided to kind of do that, over and above the typical script villain stuff that they do.
You think maybe they perhaps read something in the script that suggested to them these characters were more to each other than what they presumed?
Yeah, somebody did.
I mean,
they did. Somebody. Yeah.
That's a very and that's a very dated aspect of the movie also. I mean, very much so.
Yes.
The portrayal of homosexuals is kind of punchline, or definitely involved in something devious or odd. And that goes back well before what I'm going to cite, but another James Bond thing, Kid and Win.
Oh yes.
In Diamonds Are Forever.
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely that element there. It's interesting,
but I think that somehow is a successful. They pull that off successfully, I think, because these two characters are not. See, Jewel goes away for this; he's afraid of it. Because Kid and Win seem to be weird, not because they're homosexual,
just because they're weird
and homosexual.
Yes, they just happen to be that. Yes, I agree with that. That's just an aspect. It's not.
They're also very efficient at their jobs.
Right. It's not the driving.
They're very good at the jobs, and I think that it just says something. I'm not. If you're good at your job, you're not gay. That's right. That's not it. It's just they're very effective assassins.
Yes, they are.
It sort of reminds a bit. It reminds. Shout out to Butch Rosenwald. It reminds me a bit of the Wild Bunch, where Ernest Borgnine's relationship with his character's relationship with what's the guy's name?
Pike. Is it Pike?
Yeah, Pike. Pike. Yeah, Pike. A little bit. Yeah, Pike.
Yeah, that's Butch's theory.
Yeah,
is that they're or at least Ernest is has this other level of interest. I don't know. I haven't watched Wild Bunch recently enough to sort of glean the evidence with that. It could be. I mean, God knows Butch has watched the movie a lot. There was some other franchise. Oh yeah, it's the whole Ben-Hur thing, which I think is a very fishy story, and this is why. So the Ben-Hur story, in the production of it, was that Gore Vidal was simply stumped as to how to make masala without mushrooms. No, how to make masala, really, really, really worked up over Judah Ben-Hur.
Sure.
And he said, "Oh, I shall make them gay," even though there's really no evidence in this one way or the other. And God knows, General Lew Wallace, I don't think was thinking along those lines at all.
No.
And
everything's ramrod straight, but the ramrod doesn't go where that.
Yeah, I mean, this is the guy who sentenced Wirtz to death. I mean, he's a tough SOB. Not that you're not gay. I'm not saying that. It's just I don't think he was thinking on that level of storytelling.
And also the time that he was creating this would not be.
They weren't into that.
No.
And so when did Vidal really start coming out with this story? He started coming out with the story when the director was dead, and Stephen Boyd was dead. Basically, the two people who corroborated. So the only person left was Ramrod Straight, Charlton Heston, who it plays into the cliche of Heston to deny something like that, or to be so dim-witted he couldn't have picked up on it.
Right.
And so I find both of those things to be almost on the level of character assassination, because it came out at a time when Chuck had gotten much more political.
Sure.
You know, he was always political, but he was actually a Democrat for the longest time.
Well, he was.
And
he marched with the civil rights people.
March with Dr. King.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I think Chuck was, pardon the expression, low-hanging fruit. Because the more Chuck denied it, the more they could just go, see?
Yeah.
And so that I don't know how the hell I got on this subject, but
well, it's a Vidal fulfilling prophecy, basically.
Oh, it is.
Boom.
It is, you know, of course, and then consider the source.
Yes.
It's not like Irving Stone put this in, or know, somebody like that.
No.
It's like, okay, Gore. Yeah, what was your other movie, Myra Breckinridge?
Yeah. Okay.
So I think it's Gore Vidal's fevered wish fulfillment. Going back and think, ooh, what if?
Yes.
Yeah, it's not like in Spartacus.
No.
Where it is there.
It is that. Yeah.
The oysters and shrimp or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So, but in this, yeah, stuff like, because I hadn't seen this movie since I was like 9, and I was like, wait a minute, what?
Yeah.
Anthony Perkins likes to talk about his bathroom functions a lot.
Yes.
There's a lot of talk about.
Odd. This is part of the oddness that I got from it, was how these
it's just weird
having, you know, it's like an
performance
of the bathroom. But of course, you know, I mean, it serves the script in
if I can.
Way, but it just kind of comes out of nowhere. It's like, you know.
Yeah, he says, I'll go to the bathroom if I can.
Go take a dump. And now I'll eavesdrop on the plot, you know. It's that kind of.
You need more fiber? What's going on, Tony? I mean, talk to us, and we'll help. In the audience, we have a lot of popcorn, a lot of fiber in popcorn.
That's right. I'll throw it at the screen. Maybe you'll get some of it.
Do you think they were told to sort of play the characters as a bit comedic, in the sense they had some comedy?
Well,
either that, or they just decided to.
Yeah,
for fun. You know,
there's gold in the script to mine in terms of the idiosyncrasies of some of these characters. I think that maybe Michael Parks had the least amount in the script to figure out, but he made the most of it, I think.
He does.
His attitudes and so on. Yeah, he definitely does that. James Mason is nonplussed. He's perfect. He's just, that's what he is throughout the whole thing.
He is playing James Mason.
He's just I'll just play this as though you're, no, I'm in A Star Is Born, all right? I just don't know what's going on.
This is Norman Maine.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a movie I like, but it's a movie that I would only watch if I were like flipping the channels and there was nothing else. I was like, oh, Folks is on. I'll finish that. It was a really interesting lesson to me rewatching this film. One of the reasons. I love going back to movies I saw when I was a kid and I liked as a kid, and seeing pluses and minuses, and you know, I mean, it's really kind of a form of time travel, but informed time travel. And it takes me back to how I was thinking then, and who I was then, and who I am now. One of the big lessons. There's a lesson for writers, and I don't quite know the solution to it. So, Jewel, you or Alan might have it, and that is a collection of affectations. Of weird and amusing affectations, doth not a character make.
No, that should be a byproduct of an informed character.
And in this one, it's like
it should be motivated. All the stuff should be somehow motivated.
And they try to motivate they try to motivate the misogyny, but not really.
No,
I mean, you know,
I'll give him credit. I'll give Roger Moore credit for sort of committing to it, but you're right. It's not as there isn't a lot that's motivated. I mean, Anthony Perkins has he doesn't really explain why he's who he is and why he's doing what he's doing at all. There's nothing to give him.
I guess greed.
Well,
that's about it. But I mean, there are other ways to steal, and get.
It's a very elaborate and complicated
Yes,
one.
Yeah.
Had he been in the same business as Folks, had the
Mhm.
same training as Folks, not that they had to know each other, but if he
No.
was just someone who wanted to see if he could pull it off.
Yeah. Yeah.
That he was one of the other analysts that was used by the Americans and so on to see if
Right.
this kind of
And
thing
he got
could be done. And after a while,
yeah, and maybe
he
got
came up
screwed
with one
over and
plan.
decided to go the other way.
Yeah,
So,
he came up with one plan he never told the Americans about,
right.
because they could stop him.
Right.
That's the thing too about this movie. He, other than greed, like Alan was saying, he doesn't really explain why he's doing it. It's just like, oh, by the way, but I like that part of that too, because you do build some suspense to that.
There's a mystery
with
to
the
it.
with the comedy. It's
as an actor, you can make sense out of it. I mean, Tony, I think, probably made sense out of it in some way. Like he felt harassed. He felt like he was smarter than everybody else, but nobody was giving him credit for it. Things like that. And you can justify things, but it doesn't always make it obvious to an audience.
I do think
there's. I'm sorry, Joel. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say, I do think, like, when you watch later 80s movies where they have more, what's the word I'm looking for? More machismo, if you will. Like, for example, the movie Commando with Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's pure action. There's no real.
Well, you want to talk about a movie with a lot of subtext?
Yeah.
Commando is just this side of La Caja Fall.
It is. It's just got different costumes.
It is truly one of the most, maybe accidentally, homoerotically friendly movies ever made.
That's right. Everybody's running around flexing muscles, and they're all oiled and sweaty.
They're penetrating each other with pipes, and steam comes out.
Oh yeah,
cool, John.
Oh, you boys.
Oh yeah. But this movie, it doesn't quite have that kind of flair to it. It has some humor, and even Roger Moore's cat-like smile on deck, sort of gives him away to Anthony Perkins' character, which Anthony Perkins, as a character, makes it. I don't like your smile. I don't like your face.
Right.
That's great.
It's instinct. That's fun to play instinct sometimes. I mean, in a situation like that, it's also a hallmark of tension building in a situation like that. It really kind of gets you into a different place. And it's weird because, like you say, there is less action. There is action, but there's a different kind of action. It's not this nonstop thing with helicopters flying and rockets going off and things like that. It weirdly, because David Hedison is in the movie, reminded me of some episodes of Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea.
Yeah, definitely. I want the flying sub in this, and those cool leather jackets they wore when they were in.
Yes.
So before I say nice things about it, because I have nice things to say about this movie too. It's a fun movie to rag on a little bit. I gotta say, I didn't know it'd be this much fun. The other kind of almost Mystery Science Theater-esque aspect of this is that, but it's not. It's also just it's an interesting secret of how to try and save a movie. And that is the composer. I don't know what else the composer did. An English composer, so probably a lot of TV and stuff. The composer is exhausting himself to come up with ever more urgent music.
Yes.
To cover long scenes of not much happening.
Right.
And it starts at the very beginning with the grenade thing where he's putting these men's lives in danger.
Yes.
Which I don't know what kind of insurance that school covers, but it's got to be something. I love the conceit of it. He says, "Where's Bolo Cap?" and all that. But then when you get down to it, it's this really perverse kind of plan, and I don't know who would be a student at that school for that long. But the music, it's not a very exciting sequence, honestly. It really isn't.
Right. It's just him
saving money
into the water and so on.
And they're saving money. They get some footage of some guys swimming underwater, and he's throwing the grenades in. And yet the music is just. I feel like the studio musicians
World War
were just
II
like,
scene one.
Jesus God, do we have to play another bar of this? I can't keep up with this. It's exhausting.
Have we evacuated Dunkirk yet?
It's so overwrought. But I love that about it because it's also earnestly overwrought.
Yes, it's not pretentious. It's telling you,
not.
Here I am.
It's not subtle.
Yeah.
You came for a movie with music like this, and music like this you shall receive.
You shall receive. Right. I wrote this for a television show on the BBC 5 years ago, and I expanded it for this particular event. So,
Now stuff I like in the movie. I like how much fun Roger Moore is having.
Oh God, yeah.
That it's clear he has been shackled.
Yeah.
For years of playing this one very specific type of character. Yeah. And Roger Moore reminds me a lot of Jonathan Frakes in this sense. Roger Moore and Jonathan Frakes are both extremely funny men.
Right.
In real life.
Yeah.
And funny men are very rarely also allowed to be that handsome.
That's correct.
Because you get pigeonholed and you get told by a director, that's a great bit. It's not what I need from that character.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently, Frakes' greatest skill, commedia, which we were talking about the other day.
Yes.
He was a brilliant commedia dell'arte actor. I think that's I think it's fascinating.
Yeah.
But here's apparently just a wild cut up on the Star Trek set. But and in all of the directing he's done a lot of directing. Yeah. It's almost like he's gotten pigeonholed there also. I want to see Frakes direct a comedy.
Yeah, that would be nice.
They don't make comedies anymore. So
yeah, they don't typically make a lot of comedies, and the kind of comedies
that's a whole other subject.
They use edgy young directors a lot of times.
Well, and they shoehorn comedy moments into big action movies.
Right.
And everyone enjoys them.
Yes.
But it has not occurred to anyone, what if we just put these comedy parts together and took out the action?
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, a really good example of that's, Guardians of the Galaxy, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Fast and the Furious movies, Jumanji, things like that. Basically anything. I mean, when The Rock is the biggest knucklehead in movies, maybe there's an issue with Hollywood. Nice guy.
Yeah.
But he can't be it.
Right.
He's like the one. He and Deadpool are the two guys who are allowed to be funny.
Right.
Did you ever see The Rock during the Attitude Era?
No, I didn't. I'm sure
I did.
I did.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, I did. He was, when he first picked up a microphone and started talking, the first thought of everybody in the room's mind was, he's a movie star. He's going to be a movie star. He was that good on the mic.
And like Ryan Reynolds, he's just one of these actors who, God bless him, isn't. He just, for me, he just walks on the screen and I like that guy. Yeah. And he seems like he would be nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, his initial character was Rocky Maivia, and the fans quickly turned on him because they were sick of the whole good guy. Oh, we got to cheer him because he's a good guy. Audiences were getting sick of it, and they were chanting "Die Rocky, die" at him. And he got a knee injury, and when he come back, they said, "Okay, we're going to make you a heel. We're going to put you in the Nation of Domination," which was a group of African American racists towards white people, which was like, holy shit. And then The Rock.
Can't imagine why.
Yeah. Seriously.
But The Rock was born in that group.
Perfect way to antagonize the wrestling audience of that time.
Yeah. Let's see. Ron Simmons, who played college football in Florida State. Mark Henry, D'Lo Brown, The Rock.
Dwayne Johnson also played football. He played football for the U of Miami, but he got hurt. So
yeah, he did. He was in college football for a while. Then he went up to Canadian football too, as well.
Yeah.
For a time, and then he got cut. With this movie, I really do. The explosion in this movie is fucking awesome.
Oh yeah,
like fire explosion.
Really. Yeah, I do think this movie at times does set a lot of tone for what we're going to see later on in the 80s. What's to come in the 80s? Explosion, some comedy, and with the later 80s movies, we're going to get more action than we will comedy, but we will get one-liners to boot. For sure.
We'll get what?
One-liners in action movies.
Oh, one-liners.
Oh, yeah.
One-liners. Yeah. Stick around, like in Predator. But this movie is a lot of fun. I like the end where they give him kittens at the end. That's hilarious.
Yes, that's the only gift he would have accepted without turning his nose up.
Yeah.
A bottle of scotch.
Scotch, right?
You think
interesting sidebar in this movie? Jeremy Clyde plays Lord Privy, who is the sort of effete assistant to the Prime Minister. Jeremy Clyde is one half of the musical duo Chad and Jeremy from the 1960s.
Nice.
Yeah. Became an actor later, and then he went back to doing Chad and Jeremy stuff for a while as well.
Yeah. Let's see. What's you guys' favorite?
There we go.
What's you guys' favorite scene in this movie?
Oh my God.
There's,
again, it's fractions. It's fractions. It's little things that, and I particularly enjoy the attitudinal things, however inappropriate and cancelable some of them may be now, that Roger Moore does. They're A, hilarious, B, informative, and C, endearing in some strange way.
I mean, if you asked me would I see Folks 2, the answer is yes.
Yeah, sure. Because it's entertaining. It's nothing earth-shaking. It's entertaining.
Now, this was based on a book. It was written by the guy who wrote the book, and I wonder if there were sequels.
No.
Oh no.
Because it was called like Ruth and Jennifer or something like that, after the names of the platforms.
Yeah.
It'd be in the Wikipedia.
Mm-hmm. Maybe. Let's see. Wiki. North Sea Hijack. Yeah. Let's see.
Which I keep wanting to call North Sea Hijinks. It's just funnier.
Jack Davies from his novel Esther, Ruth, and Jennifer. That's the novel. Reception. Guardian said it was quite fun, but it overall did not receive really super positive reviews and didn't make a lot of money.
It didn't. I do know that it had a major, prestigious release.
Yeah, but Ebert and Siskel called it one of their dogs of the year, so they.
I went back and watched their review of it.
Yeah, they slammed it pretty good. I would give it much better than that because I thought it was entertaining and charming in some ways.
Their review was one of context. Apparently, they had seen a lot of movies like this that year.
Oh, so
I think Lou Grade was probably really cranking them out.
Yeah, they were probably just tired of that sort of thing. That does happen. Studios internationally even get into these ruts or grooves, depending on how successful they are, of these kind of things. I do not see anything that says it was originally intended to be like a first of a number.
It sure feels like it would have been.
It could maybe.
Were there any other books? Did that guy write anything?
Yeah, that's the next thing I'm going to take a look at. Jack Davies.
It should have been Jack Davis.
Seriously, the artist.
Because I can see Jack Davis doing a poster for this.
Yes, absolutely. I love Jack Davis's work. It's fantastic stuff. First thing I ever saw him do was 1959. they were like Monster Valentines. It was a whole series of cards that Topps put out, gum cards, bubble gum cards, and he was the artist on those cards. And then of course you saw him in a ton of magazines later and posters and all sorts of great stuff.
His posters were great.
Yes, they were. Bibliography, Esther, Ruth, and Gemma. No, there were no other movies in that thing. He did Monocolor or Bust, Those Daring Young Men and Their Jaunty Jalopies, 1969.
Johnny Jalopies.
Yeah, Jaunty.
Was that related to the flying machines? Was that?
I don't know if it was or no. It doesn't say here. It was a film adaptation called Monte Carlo or Bust, so it was probably sort of inspired by that stuff, or because I believe the Daring Young Men in their flying machines came out a few years before '69. I think it's '65 or something like that. Paper Tiger in 1974 did a film adaptation of that. And La Hold Up, no film adaptation, in 1977, and then Esther, Ruth, and Jennifer in North Sea Hijack. That's what I have for a bibliography on him, at least in Wiki. He may have done more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He obviously liked to write to screenplay eventually. He seems to have enjoyed doing that. So
I kind of wonder where's David Tomlinson or Terry Thomas when we need them. This seems like the sort of movie they would have wound up in late in their careers.
Yes. Yeah, Terry Thomas as a cynical, heavy drinking factotum at 10 Downing or something like that. Who was somehow on one of the oil platforms, against his will, of course.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's see. Well, wait. When did you guys first see this movie? Actually,
this is it for me.
1980.
No, I saw it. I had never seen this movie before, which was it was a nice little gold mine. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
For all of it, I mean, for all the cracking we've been doing, it's an entertaining movie. I mean, it bounces along. It maintains its running time.
Mm-hmm.
It does. It's a movie that is entertaining. I think sometimes people want to. I think maybe it's just going Ebert, probably, like you guys said, they've seen too many movies that were similar to this. But I think this movie has a decent entertainment value about it. It doesn't bore you. The characters are entertaining. The terrorists, though, they're sort of like Anthony Perkins' character is a little weird. They are threatening to a degree.
Well, his twitchiness makes him threatening.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
They do a good job of producing a solid, antagonist in Anthony Perkins. He did a good job. And I think Roger Moore is just the icing on the cake in this movie.
He is an anti-Bond in a lot of ways. He's commenting on that cocksuredness that Bond has and so on. And he certainly has enough of that as this character. But he also has all these idiosyncratic behaviors and preferences that sort of make him delightfully different.
Yeah. Let's see. What do you guys want to do tomorrow? Anything?
Something different than this. I don't know. Alan, what do you think?
You want to break it up with an episode of Dark Shadows?
Sure.
I do. And if this question comes up again, and I suspect it will, you talk about White House plumbers.
Yeah. Did we talk about it? Is that what you're asking?
We did.
No, we talked about talking about it.
We did talk about talking about it. Yeah.
That is easily worth an episode by episode look, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Now I know, Jewel, last time I said that was about I, Claudius. We all know how that went. This is no I, Claudius.
Right.
Well, I gotta convince my wife to pay for it, so I'll try my best. Okay.
Okay. It's educational.
That's not the best thing to say to her, because she'll just say no. She does.
Well, does she like Woody Harrelson or Colin Clive, or who else is in it with him? The guy from Saturday Night Live.
Here's the thing. She'll ask me what it's about, and if I say, "Well, it's about history," she'll just be like, "No, I don't give a fuck." That's just how she is with history.
So you're saying Watergate would do nothing?
Yeah, she doesn't really care about history. She's not a history person. I am. I like history.
Tell her it's about a heist. It's about a heist going wrong.
Yeah, that's not false. That's not false. So, oh my god, I'll try. I'll try my best. I can't make any promises. What episode do you guys want to talk about tomorrow?
Yeah. How about 781?
I was hoping you would say that. Yeah.
All right. So, link to Patrick McCray's Dark Shadows Day book about is going to be description box. Link to Alan Gallant's YouTube channel, Collins Sport After Dark, is going to be description box. You guys have a good night. Be safe.
Indeed.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.